Hi, welcome back to another video. My name is Charlotte and today we're going to do an October wrap up. I apparently have a lot to say, so I'm going to do a wrap up now and I'm going to do a TBR one later. I have an idea on what I want to do. I want to try it in a separate video. So we're just going to do a wrap up of everything I've read in October in this video. I've read 10 books and one novel. Full disclosure, I know how to speak. One of them is a DNF, and we're gonna get to which one and why a little later on. The first book, oh, I can't find it. The first book I read this month is Icebreaker, and I do have a full reading vlog out on this one and the two next ones because it is the complete Maple Hill series. I decided to just jump on the bandwagon and figure out why it was such a hit on TikTok. I don't understand why. A short summary. This is about Anastasia Steele and Nate Hawkins. She is the figure skater. He is the captain of the hockey team. They go to the University of California, Maple Hills. I think that's the complete name of the school. Yeah, University of California at Maple Hills. It is the Maple Hills series, and something happens and they have to end up sharing a rink because the school is like big into winter sports apparently. So they had one rink for the figure skaters and one for the hockey team. Something happens, they have to share a rink. Anastasia is not happy about it. This is Grumpy Sunshine. It is I'm lost for words. This is very heavy on the Grumpy Sunshine, like reverse Grumpy Sunshine. She is grumpy, he is sunshine, and this is not suitable for younger readers. This has an 18 plus content warning with good reason. Out of all of the books, this is the smuttiest one. This is the one with the most, well, it's just the one with the most of doing it, basically. I did find it to be very fun. I did enjoy it. Is this the one I would read again if I were to reread the series? No, I think I would skip this one just because I liked the two ones way better. And I mean, I read it once. I don't really feel like I have to read it again, but I gave it a 3.25 just because it was fun. It was interesting. I do understand the hype, but I do also understand the disappointment of this book. So yeah, 3.25 for Icebreaker. I will link the reading vlog in the description if you want to watch it. Next one in the Maple Hill series is Wildfire, and Wildfire is about Ross and Aurora. This is set over summer vacation, so it basically goes from Icebreaker and kind of straight into summer vacation where you meet these two in the timeline, or at least that's how. I mean, I don't think there's a year in between. I'm pretty sure that's how it's gone down, and they hook up very early on. Then something happens, they do not exchange numbers or last names or majors or anything, and they both set off to be camp counselors, and they end up at the same camp, and that is where their love story unveils itself. I really enjoyed this one. I thought this love story was very cute. I think Aurora is my favorite of the female characters in all of the books. She's actually one of the like my favorite female characters in a lot of the books I've read. She was witty and she's smart. She has daddy issues, which I cannot relate to, thank God. They do complete each other in a weird way. So I gave this a 3.5. I would give this a reread. It is set at summer camp, as I said, so if I want to reread it, I would probably reread it over the summer to get like the summer feel. And yeah, it's just good times, good vibes, all of that. And then you have the next one, which is the final installation in the Maple Hill series, and it is Daydream. Here you meet Henry and you meet Hallie, and Henry is struggling a little bit at school. He's now the captain of the hockey team at Maple Hills, but he is struggling with the academia part of, well, going to school. It's not said in the book necessarily with words, and he doesn't get diagnosed, but everything hints at him being, well, everything hints at him having ADHD or autism and ADHD. He doesn't get a diagnosis, but you do have very fair representation of what it's like when you get overstimulated and you can't really blame yourself for procrastinating. I'm not saying that if you read this book and you see yourself in Henry, that means that you are neurodivergent. You just might see a little bit of you represented in a book. And Hallie sees that he is struggling. She understands what he's struggling with and how to help him. So she decides to do so. She decides to help him with his grades and with his classes and everything like that. So as a thank you for helping with his school, he decides to help Hallie as well, because Hallie wants to enter a writing competition where she writes an epic love story. How is she supposed to do so when there's a lot of things she wants to write about she hasn't really experienced herself? So Henry decides to help her with a lot of her firsts. Out of all of the books, this one is the one that takes the longest before they get down and dirty. This one, compared to the other two ones, is a slow burn in that sense. So if you're in it for the smut, I wouldn't recommend skipping just to this one, because they are interconnected standalones. You can read one without reading the other ones. The other one has 18 plus content warning on the backside. This just has not suitable for younger readers. If that's because they don't feel like they feel like you can read this as a 16-year-old, but the other ones you kind of have to be more of an adult, I don't really know. But out of all of them, I think this one is the one I probably would enjoy more reading as a teen or a late teen. It has a little bit more of a true representation of how things are supposed to be if you're not already sexually active or have like a steady partner. So yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I give this a 3.75. I had such a good time reading it. I really did enjoy it. I enjoy the universe. I enjoy the people. I enjoyed feeling represented, because in case you guys didn't know, I got diagnosed with ADHD as an adult, and I got misdiagnosed as a child with dyslexia, anxiety, and depression, because school just wasn't for me. And it wasn't the fact that I was, lazy and didn't understand it. It was just that I was a daydreamer and I would completely be in the classroom understanding what was going on, and then I would zone out for 5 minutes and I would lose track, and I would have such a hard time picking up those 5 minutes and figuring out what we were supposed to do, because I lost viable information. And that got blame on dyslexia, which it might be. It might also have been dyslexia. And then, normally you get strong ADHD symptoms in girls around the age of 12, and you also hit puberty around that time. So it's very common that girls get diagnosed with depression and anxiety instead of the correct diagnosis, which is ADHD. So I got it as an adult and have learned to figure out a lot of stuff as an adult. So reading this, I really did see myself in Henry. I really did understand his struggles. I wish somebody saw me the way that Hallie saw him, so maybe I would also be able to finish school. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. Then I went over and I got an arc read of a novel. It's called Falling for You, a Thanksgiving novel, and it starts at Thanksgiving and it ends around Christmas, New Year's. The timeline is very quick. It's about Thatcher and Avery. Avery is divorced, so they're older, and she gets invited to go with her roommate to her parents' house for Thanksgiving, and it turns out that her roommate's brother is Thatcher, that she was very infatuated with in university. So it's a second chance romance, and it's under 200 pages. It was a fun read. It's a very easy read. I read it within like a few hours. I felt like the timeline was a little off for me, just because I felt like we were missing a lot, because they knew each other before, but you'd never really gotten that, that much information about it. And because it is a novel, it is a shorter story, things went very rapidly. But it was a fun time. I did enjoy it. So if that's your cup of tea, I would definitely recommend it. And because I read a Thanksgiving novel that ended at Christmas, I just went straight into a Christmas book. I have a reading vlog out on this one if you want to watch it, so I'm not going to talk too much about it. This is the third book in the Dream Harbor series. It is about Kira, who buys the Christmas tree farm and decides to open it one last time to make some money so she can become the hermit she is supposed to be on this farm and not see people. And then it's about Bennett Ellis, and he is just on vacation in Dream Harbor because his sister Janie runs the Pumpkin Spice Cafe which is the first book in their series. So he's there for a month. He's just supposed to visit. He's just supposed to spend the holidays with his sister. And he gets roped into trying to figure out a mystery of something they believe happened on this farm, because he is like the only one that Kira has actually been nice to. And you get to see their relationship unfold. It's a small town. It is reverse Grumpy Sunshine, one bed. I think this was a very, very fun read. This is set during Christmas because they have a Christmas tree lighting. It's a Christmas tree farm, you know, they open. So this one is set in Christmas. And the only reason I am pointing that out is because the second one, not the Pumpkin Spice Cafe, the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore, the timeline on that one is very iffy. It felt a little rushed. Like they changed the timeline to fit into fall, but they forgot to change the entire timeline. So it starts in summer, it's supposed to end in September, then all of a sudden you're in September, but it's not really September, and I just got a little bit confused, but I did really enjoy it if you can look past that. It is a very enjoyable book, and I mean, I enjoy Dream Harbor. I am excited for the fourth one as well, but the Pumpkin Spice Cafe is definitely set in fall, in autumn, and the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore, it was set in autumn for me because I mean autumn starts early where I live, and this is definitely set during Christmas times. They're interconnected standalones. You don't have to read one to read the others, so if you just want to read this one for the Christmas vibes, go for it. If you enjoy the other couples, go back and read their stories and just think of it as, you know, you're looking back on their story and you're learning their story. Don't think of it as I know what's gonna happen, because come on, we all know what's gonna happen anyways, right? So then I give this one I rated a 4.25. I enjoyed it. I think it was a fun Christmas book. Might even reread it for Christmas, who knows. When I was done with that one, I actually read The Perfect Son. As you can see, I do not have it. I did have it physically with me when I read it, but I didn't like the feel of the cover. The cover felt like they forgot to make it smooth. I did not like holding it, so I got it on my Kindle. And I read it on my Kindle, and I gave my physical copy to a coworker. You guys didn't ask to know all that, but hey, now you know. So yeah, now you know that. I'm an oversharer, I guess. It is a psychological suspense. It is a Freda, still don't know how to pronounce your first name, McFadden book. And because it's a psychological suspense, I will not go into depth about what the book is about, because I know a lot of people like to go into those types of books completely blind, not knowing basically who it's about, what it's about, why it's about. They don't even read the back of the book. So the only thing I am going to tell you is that it is about the people you love and the lengths you are willing to go to support them. Maybe support them is even the wrong word, but you know, it is about the people you love and the lengths you are willing to go for them. Yeah, that's it. Just the lengths you are willing to go for them. I had a lot of fun reading it. I thought it was a great book. It wasn't really there wasn't really that much depth to the characters. But then again, you are following a specific thing that's happening, and just this specific thing. So you don't really need to know the backstory. You don't really need to know everything. You didn't get to know some, but you don't really get to know the characters that much. But it was a lot of fun, so I gave it a 3.75. Would recommend reading it. I wouldn't have any trouble to recommend it if you like psychological suspense. Even if you never read a psychological suspense, but you think it might be for you, I think she's a great author to start with. And I think this is a standalone. You can read this without having to feel like you have to read 15 other books. So yeah, The Perfect Son, 3.75. I think it's a good one to start with. Then I actually decided to finish the Windy City series. This is one of my favorite series of all time. I love the Windy City series, and Kai and Miller is no exception to that love. So this is single dad, and it's, I don't know, a work relationship, because it kind of is a work relationship. Kai plays baseball and is a single dad. He has a kid that travels with him. The kid is, I want to say, around 15 months in the book. And Miller is the coach's daughter. She is a chef, she does pastries, like a culinary chef. And she needs a brain reset. She can't make anything new. She's very creatively blocked. Nothing works as it's supposed to do. So she has 2 months off, and she decides to go on the road with her dad. And she gets hired to be the nanny for Kai's kid, because that's the only way they can have her with them on the road according to the rules because she works for the team, and they spike up a little something, you know. I know this is a lot of people's least favorite book in the series, and I can kind of understand why, because a lot of people don't like the single dad trope, and this one also, one of the tropes is third act breakup. It's not probably not a trope, but yeah, she does, you know, that she is supposed to leave. That's made clear from the start of the book, and a lot of people do not like it. I have to tell you, I cried like a little baby reading this one. Tom was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, don't I look okay?" And he was like, "Yeah, okay, you're weird." So I enjoyed it. I thought it was a great story. I think Malachi, which is his full name, I think he's a great character. He's a super loving dad. All he does is for the kid that he has, and I think it's amazing to see Miller not only fall in love with Kai, but also fall in love with his son, and fall in love, you know, with the family, because she understands it is a package deal, but she doesn't treat it like a package deal. Like she genuinely loves this kid. So I gave this a 4.75. I really did enjoy this. I thought this was fantastic. And then I went straight on over to Play Along, which is about Isaiah and Kennedy, and Isaiah also plays baseball. He is Kai's brother. Little brother, if I can remember correctly. You get to learn a little bit more about their upbringing in this book and why Isaiah is like Isaiah is. And you also get to meet Kennedy in the other book, because they're all interconnected standalones. And you also get to understand why Kennedy is, well, Kennedy. This is fake marriage, through and through. They have a drunken night in Vegas and they end up getting married. You're not allowed to fraternize with the team. So the only way that she did not lose her job, because somebody would get fired and they wouldn't fire one of the players, she's on the medical staff, so they would fire her, is because, well, if they stayed together. They are allowed to both work for the team if they're married. So they stay married, so she doesn't lose her job, and they have to fake date and be fake married. This is also such a good story. I don't want to spoil too much about it. The fact that they get married, they already say that in the other books. I don't feel like that's a spoiler, and it kind of says on the back of it as well. So they do get married. It is a fake marriage, fake dating. It's such a good sports romance without actually learning anything about the sport. I gave this one also a 4.75, but I do think maybe this one is a 5-star read for me. I do think about this book. It didn't give me like that book high. Like I didn't, like when I was done reading it, it was like I felt drained and I wanted more, but I do think about them frequently. So this might actually be a 5-star read for me. I think this one and Mile High is like a 5-star read for me from that series. Then I went over to Magnolia Parks. I was like, I need something else. I need something different. I've read so many sports romances this month. It's ridiculous. I need to read something different, and I went over to Magnolia Parks, and this is the one I DNF'd. It is about Magnolia. Her name is Magnolia Parks, and it is about BJ Ballantyne, which I still think is a fantastic name that I kind of want to giggle when I say BJ Ballantyne. Come on. To sum up this book with 2 words, it's toxic relationship. That's what this book is. It's about rich people being in love, being toxic to the person you are in love with, because you can't be with the person you're in love with, because we're all idiots. I was hoping that there would be a little bit more to the plot than just following them around and seeing that they're toxic, but I felt like that was the plot, and I couldn't. It got really hard to pick up the book and read. It got extremely hard to just listen to the audiobook, and I read about 70% of this book. I maybe a little bit more, maybe 80%. I think I had about 2 hours left of the audiobook when I decided that it wasn't for me. I was like, at this point, whatever happens in the last pages of the book, it's not going to make me engaged enough to want to read more. I would have loved this book if I was a little bit younger, I think. I think the toxicity and the way, you know, they run around each other, it felt a little, yeah, I don't know, early 2000 rom-com-y in a way, but it was all like all the things that I don't like about an early 2000 rom-com. It was just very toxic, and it just wasn't the vibe for me. If this is one of your favorite books, I'm happy for you. We don't all have to like the same things, and maybe ending when I ended was a bad idea because something amazing happens, but it just wasn't for me, and I'm gonna have to live with that. So, you know, what did I do? Yeah, I just went straight into a new sports romance because it's Sports Romance Awareness Month. No, it's not. I'm just kidding. But I got The Striker. It came out on the 24th, something like that, of October. It's written from Anne Huang, and I have a reading vlog coming out on this next week. I think I'm going to post it. I'm not completely sure when I'm done editing it, but it's about Asher Donovan. Asher is playing football in the Premier League, so it's set in London, and he plays on the same team as his biggest rival, which is Vincent Dubois, and Asher and Vincent get set up to do off-season cross-training. So it starts right at the off-season. You get to join on the last game of the season, and then you go straight into the off-season, and that's where most of the book is set. And they have to cross-train at RAB Dance Studio, which in my head is just rhythm and blues, but it's definitely not rhythm and blues. And they have to cross-train ballet with Scarlett Dubois, Vincent's sister, who used to be a prima ballerina. Something happened. Vincent is no longer in London. It's only Asher and Scarlett left, and you get to see their relationship blossom from there. I think this was a very fun book. It was an okay sports romance. Not, you know, it wasn't maybe not the one I would recommend to start with if you want to start with the sports romance, but it was fun. I know there are a lot of Easter eggs in this one from her other books, from the Twisted series and from the King of Sin series at least. I don't know. I haven't read a single one of those. I kind of want to read them though, but I don't really mind. I don't think the Easter eggs I read in this one will stick out in the other ones, but if I reread this one, it might stick out. So if you're in the middle of any of those series, I would recommend finishing them before you're reading this one. But yeah, it is a sports romance. Asher is the striker. Scarlett is a prima ballerina, used to be a prima ballerina. You do get to know what happened and why she's no longer a prima ballerina and everything that comes around with that. And it's the first book. It's called God of Games. The second one is about the Defender, so we already know who the second book is going to be about. I'm not going to spoil it. You'll figure it out when you read it. And yeah, it was fun. I had a good time reading it. I mean, I gave it a 3.75, but I wouldn't recommend it as your first sports romance. I would start with a different series. Even though there's only one book out in this series, I would recommend starting with a different series because this one is almost 600 pages. It is a little bit thick. I don't really think that a sports romance has to be 600 pages. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Do not attack me for it, but I don't think it has to be 600 pages. You get so much information that you technically don't need, so it could be a little bit shorter. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Then we have the fine print, and you probably heard me say it before, but fun fact: I own every Lauren Asher book available in Norway. I don't have I don't have collector's edition and normal edition, but I have one of everyone, at least one copy of every book she's written. And I was like, oh God, I hope I love her because she's my favorite author because I bought all of her books. But you know what? I really did enjoy this. This was actually very fun. This is the Dreamland Billionaire series. She also has the Lakefront Billionaire series and the Dirty Air series. And one more. Can't remember. But yeah, this is the fine print. Rovin takes over the Dreamland amusement park from his granddad when his granddad passes away, and he has to do something to secure his position in the company. The three brothers, all of them got their own task they have to do and finish to secure their place in their company. And the first one is about Rovin, and it's about Sarah. And Sarah is an employee at the theme park. God, words are hard today. Sarah is an employee at the theme park, and every year they open it up for employees to submit the concept of what they wanted to add or, you know, do better in Dreamland, basically. She gets drunk and writes up a proposal thinking she's going to get fired. She gets hired to fix the mess that she has pointed out that the park is. Rovin is very smitten by her, keeps on trying to figure out a way to talk to her. It gets a little bit messy, but it is a fun read and I really did enjoy it and I had so much fun. I found myself rooting for them for a little, even though I found Rovin also to be a cold arsehole. So I gave this a 4 star. 4 stars. 4 stars for this one. I'm not really sure what trope I would put it in though, because it's not fake dating. It's not really work-related dating because they don't have like a fraternizing rule, so they are allowed to date. Just rich asshole and pretty girl, maybe. I don't really know. Yeah, that's the last book I read in October, and I'm ready for November. I'm ready for Christmas. Are you ready for Christmas? Have you read any of these? Please tell me if you have. what did you think about them? Did you like them? Did you love them? Did you not like them? Please tell me. And if you gave them a rating, please tell me what rating you gave them. Also, if you have any ideas of books I should add to my TBR for either November or December, please put them down in the description so that I can go and spend money on new books, because that's also a hobby I have. That was all I had for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you guys so much for spending some of your precious time with me. And if you're here still, maybe give the video a little thumbs up, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next video, because it really does help me reach a new audience, and somebody else might find it and enjoy it. But yeah, once again, thank you guys so much for spending some of your precious time with me. I really do appreciate it, and hopefully I will see you all in the next one. Bye bye.